Hey everybody, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime, and welcome to the live stream, the Friday live stream. It's one of those things where I thought it'd be fun to kind of do something a little bit outside of the norm today. And mostly just because I put the poll up the other day, and a lot of folks had mentioned that they would be interested in something other than just wine reviews. Because as you know, you go to my channel, I have like 500 something plus wine reviews on it. So I decided maybe I'm going to do something a little bit fun today instead of necessarily kind of focusing on the goofiness of wine reviews. I'm going to actually try and do a tier list. And it's something that if you're someone who's into the gaming culture, you've probably seen tier lists before where people rank things, or even like I've seen people rank fast food joints. I've seen people do all sorts of stuff. And so I think tier lists are kind of cool. Hey, Desert Wine Guy, how you doing? But yeah, so tier list, it's just, I don't know. I figured I'd try it. If y'all like it, cool. If you don't like it, then maybe I don't do another one again. Or maybe I do. Maybe you want to see my red wine list, because today I have the white wine list. So let me go ahead and I guess let's just jump straight in. Well, actually, before I do that, if you are joining me tonight, and go ahead, in the video description, I do have a link to the tier list. Please feel free to play along at home. I think it would be a blast for you guys to participate in this with me. Tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm right. And just, whatever. If you want to make fun of me the whole time, that's fine. Also, if you're participating from home or wherever you may be, let me know what you're drinking. So tonight, I went ahead and picked up this nice Vouvray. So I decided, I'm doing white wines. Might as well go ahead and pick this up. I'm a huge fan of Chenin Blanc, and I figured this won't be a bad thing. So let me get a little bit of this in my glass, and let me load this tier list up, and we should be good to go. Assuming, you guys see the behind the scenes stuff right there. It does not want to participate well with me. So let me move this over here. It's the fun of doing this live. Sometimes it works, sometimes it works like you want it to, sometimes it doesn't. And now let's switch scenes and see if that works. There we go. Let me move that over a little bit, and we are good. Okay, so yeah, all the fun stuff that you guys get to see live that don't typically happen on my normal wine reviews. So let's go ahead, and the way I have this is that it's sort of like a drag and drop little tier maker thing. So you can kind of have some fun with it, where you just look at some of these things as they pop up, and just move them around, and you get to say if they're good or very good or whatever. But that's part of the fun of this, right? This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this list. So let's go ahead. Where do I want to start on these? So I think there's like 24 something like those around there, somewhere around that. And I'm trying to think of what I should start with. So let's just do a random one. So let's go Savateano. All right. So Savateano, it is an extremely common grape. And if I remember correctly, it's a common grape in Greece. I'm trying to remember exactly. I've only had 2 of them, and to be quite honest, they remind me a lot of Pinot Grigio in terms of the way that these flavors and the way that you drink the wine. It's such a common growth, and it's from such an area that it's just very light. Or at least this is what I'm remembering. Like I said, I've had 2 of them. It's been a while. So if I'm wrong about this, then you can beat me up. I don't care. But I remember not hating it. But oh man, that shit was good. But I also don't remember liking it enough to really care that much about it. So on that note, I'm going to say you're okay. That's right. I'm going to say you're okay. Let's look at the next the next thing I have here, Gruner. We'll go to Gruner Veltliner. So Gruner Veltliner, very, very common in Austria. I think it is an awesome grape. I love the flavors of it. I love the fact that it has this nice light presentation. There are some times that people can manipulate it to kind of have some cool things going on with it. In general, I am a fan of Gruner. I'm a pretty big fan of Gruner. And it's also, almost every place that I've looked in the States, it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap to get. So, on that note, I am going to give you a good. Like I said, big fan of Gruner. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so let's see. The next one. Trying to load up my comments here to make sure that I'm not missing anything from you guys. So just give me 1 sec. All right, so let's take a look at the next bit. The next bit we have is, what do I want the next one to be? Let me think about this next one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it to the comments. Okay, comments. Tell me what the next one is. Tell me what I should do. So it looks like, hey, Derek. Derek, also from South Florida. Thanks for joining. Brian from Washington. Hey. So to answer your question, Brian, I made this list. However, though, I shared out the link and anyone can use it. So please feel free. You want to make your own video or blog or do whatever with it, go ahead and do it. It's just a free link. I don't care. There's no copyright here. It's just text and this tier maker website. So feel free to have at it. Have a blast. Do it with your friends. It's fun. This could be a fun group gathering where you maybe pick a subject that's wine related and you just kind of have fun with your friends and see where it goes. All right. So okay. So I'll do Viognier, and then I will do Chenin. So let me grab Viognier. Okay, so Viognier. I was having the conversation with someone in the wine aisle earlier whenever I was picking out that Chenin. And I was talking to them about how I think Viognier is a totally awesome grape. As you can see, I even have a shirt because I like Viognier. And specifically, my favorite area for Viognier is actually Texas. And I know that's kind of big because there's a lot of space in Texas and there's multiple AVAs. But, I mean, for example, I was at Ron Yates Winery about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, and I had his Viognier that was the previous release. Perfect example of almost like a perfectly classic French Viognier. You're getting the green fruits, you're getting this nice kind of like soft melon note, you're getting a little bit of peach blossom. I mean, it had these really nice elements to it, kind of like this, like red apple too. I mean, it was just really good. Everything worked really well. And then I tried his newest release Viognier from that same vineyard, and it was crazy. I mean, you went from this nice classic soft French preparation, like medium minus acid, just somewhat unctuous, like a little oily, and then you go into this thing that is like, you're getting like papaya, pineapple. You're just getting like zinged with like orange, like bright orange citrus notes on the floral. It was incredible. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like Texas. This is a little bit of a segue from that. But I like Texas for this specific grape. But I do really like other representations. I almost picked up an Australian Viognier today, but then I decided to go with the Chenin. So I will say Viognier is really awesome. I really do like it as a little bit of a blender. I like it as a solo varietal. Where do I want to put it though? I think I'm gonna put it very good. This will be my first very good. All right. Next, Chenin. All right, Chenin Blanc. Man. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of Chenin. It is. I mean, you can find this stuff growing in a lot of cool places. So obviously you have French Chenin. There's South African Chenin is also an exceptional area. Like if you're getting it from there, you're just gonna. It'll be different than the French Chenin, but it'll have more of those tropical notes. It's still gonna have a screaming high acid. Almost all Chenin does. It just has these really nice fruit elements. And the thing I like about Chenin is the acid. The acid is super, super high. My favorite area, though, is Australia. Specifically, I'm trying to remember which area it is now. Oh, crap. I'm going blank on Livestream. Anyway, Southeast Africa is my favorite area for Chenin. Mostly because not only do you get this burn your mouth off level acid, but you also get this really cool bone dry. And when I'm talking about bone dry, I'm talking about you're drinking the wine and it literally sucks all of the moisture out of your mouth from the alcohol. It is a crazy experience. I had a glass and a half of that. So we were supposed to be tasting for the WSET Level 3, and then at the end we kind of got to hang out a little bit and enjoy some of the wines. The Chenin is the one I remember. I poured myself about a glass and a half of it because I really enjoyed it. And all I remember is about an hour and a half later on the drive home, I felt like my esophagus was melting off because of that high acid. And then I thought, man, I want to buy that bottle. So yeah, I think that Chenin, ooh. And then there's, Chenin's going very, very good. I may come back to Chenin and put it into the outstanding tier. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Because, man, I really do like Chenin. And like I said, I was looking around. I was like, oh, man, I could get that South African Chenin. I could get other stuff. But, man, there's something about this French Chenin I'm really digging today. I think it's a little off dry. That's why. Actually, I wouldn't even say off dry. I'd say it's medium dry. It's getting almost to the point where I would say it's entering into the sweet level. Okay, so what is the worst Cabernet Sauvignon and the best Cabernet Sauvignon I've had? Whew. Man, that's a toughie. I would say the worst Sauvignon Blanc or Cabernet Sauvignon. There you go. The worst Cabernet Sauvignon I've had is probably, if I recall, it's called the Lucky Duck. It is, I don't know, I think at the time I bought it, $3.99 or $4.99 a bottle. That stuff was bad. I poured it down the drain. I was not a fan of it. It was not good. The best one I've had, I would say it was I've never reviewed it on the channel because I had it when I was doing a tasting at my friend's winery in Austin. Someone brought a Silver Oak Library Reserve from them actually going to Silver Oak. At the time they remember, they got the Library Reserve. It was maybe, I'm trying to remember, this was last year, so it was probably a 2010, maybe 2009, somewhere around there. And that was one of those things where I was like, dang, that's really good. It had a nice amount of age to it. It still had a lot of primary fruit. It had a really nice balanced barrel notes. Everything about it was really good. So I would say Silver Oak, that Library Reserve one, I wish I had taken a picture of it, and I could probably find a way to post it. But yeah, I mean, it was really good. I would say that there are some other ones too that are pretty good. My favorite regions for like Cabernet aren't necessarily like California or like the blenders that are coming out of like France, like in Bordeaux. My favorite region for Cabernet, I actually have two if I'm thinking about it. It's the Coonawarra Valley in Australia, or it is essentially Chile. Like those are Chile, Argentina, depending on which regions that you're getting the Cabernet from. I like South American because of the heavy tannins, but they also preserve a lot of the fruit structure. There's pretty good acid there. The Coonawarra one is one that I have a very hard time finding it here. I live in the 8th or 7th largest city in the United States. I can't find a friggin' Coonawarra Cabernet. But it just has this really cool eucalyptus note that comes through. It's almost like drinking a red wine that almost has like a slight like tea infusion with it, but there's nothing that's manipulated in the wine. It's just wine. It's absorbing the terroir and everything else that's going on, and it's just really cool. I've always liked that. All right, let's take a look at some of the. Do I like pinfolds? Yeah, I like pinfolds. I think it was my friend Tall. So I have a friend named Tall. He's a brand ambassador for Tulip Winery out of Israel, and also a partial owner of Mindelbaum Cellars here in the Texas Hill Country. And I met him through my WSET Level 3 studies. And it was fun because he likes to bring out some crazy stuff. And he had his birthday the other day. And, I mean, the dude, like, just went crazy. And so we were at my friend's winery, and he busted out a 1998 Grange. It was good. It's like an $800 bottle, but, I mean, holy crap, that was good. There are very few bottles that I would say are worth spending that much money on. The Pinfolds Grange is probably one of those. If you ever get a chance to splurge on it, go for it. I poured myself a modest sample and tried to leave it at that. He was an awesome buddy and finished pouring me a full glass. And so I was lucky enough to have a full glass of Grange. And then after that, I was like, okay, I don't know if there's going to be anything else tonight that I try that's going to live up to this. And at some point, we transitioned over to a German ice wine from 1970. And that beat that. That was an exceptional. Like, I don't like a lot of sweet stuff. It wasn't too sweet. Things had mellowed out and kind of became tertiary. But oh my god, that was another one of those that has so much good acid on it. Oh, it was incredible. Let me get into, before I go into more comments, let me go into another wine here. Let's do Verdicchio. So I do like Verdicchio. The thing that gets me about this, though, are some of the palate notes I get from it. Like, I always kind of get this like funkiness that comes out of it, and I don't quite understand why I get that. I realize I have Verdicchio on here twice, so I'll just get rid of one of them. Man, I don't know about this. I think I'm going to have to lean towards. It's going to either be bad or it's going to be. And this really isn't necessarily. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to put it here. I'm not claiming that these wines are bad. What I should probably say is like recategorize this for the next one that I do, where it's like I will buy this all the time. I will buy this often. I buy this regularly. I buy it sometimes, or I don't typically like to buy it. Maybe that's how I'm going to recategorize these, because outstanding, very good, bad, all this stuff, that's not necessarily a true indicator of this wine. There are some very good Verdicchios, and I have had a few of them. I just don't typically wake up in the morning and think, I want a Verdicchio today. So, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and push that out a little bit. So, let's do we went from Italy. Let's jump to okay, so let's do this. Let's go Pinot Gris / Pinot Grigio. Let's do an international varietal. we haven't done too many of those. Actually, we haven't done any of those technically yet. I guess maybe Viognier could be considered international now. Chenin Blanc could be made international. While I'm thinking about Pinot Gris, let me look at some comments here. Let's see. Dry Riesling versus sweet Riesling on this. So I actually thought about that. I wanted to keep Riesling together because I'm not looking at necessarily just the presentation of the grape in terms of it being sweet or being dry. I want to take a look at this grape as a whole. So like, how malleable is it? What types of things can you do with it? Is it typically found just kind of one presentation, and when you find it in that kind of presentation, how does it apply? So I had thought about separating this, but I didn't want to do that because I feel like when you're talking about the grape, you should be talking about the grape overall. What else? Let's see here. Other comments. Stag's Leap. Believe it or not, that is actually one winery that I have not had a wine from. Is Stag's Leap. I need to find a one to do at some point for that. Reviewed the Red Mountain AVA. Let's see, from Utah. Dude, Utah. That's interesting. I would love to get my hands on a wine from Utah. Yeah, that's crazy. Let's see what else. Okay, cool, Derek, you're in Boca Raton. We had just the lineup from Min 28 all the way to Grange. It's for my wife's birthday. Dang. So you got a chance to do the full, like a really good portion of that Penfolds library. That's awesome. That is, that's pretty darn cool. That would have been an interesting experience to kind of see how all that wine differs as you're going up in scale. That's cool. And then what made me decide to review wine in this format? In this specific format for the tier maker, I wanted to change it up a little bit. So I've been doing a lot of just kind of straight wine reviews on the channel. Just open the bottle, kind of tell you about it, give it a rating, move on. Even some live streams have been like that. I am working on a live stream coming up. Actually, I'm working on a couple. And one is I've been working with Cara Almberg to do a select testing or live tasting of the Walls Winery and their selection. And what we'll do there is, I believe it's going to be March 26th, and I'll send a link out after this video. I'll put it on the community. I'll put it on my social media pages. And we're actually going to do a live tasting in which we're talking and all that stuff. But you guys get an opportunity to get the tasting boxes sent to you in time for the review as well. So if you want to taste along at home, the Wall will send it over, and they're cool. They're nice little samplers. They're not going to send you, you don't have to spend a ton of money on all these bottles. So you'll be able to get the chance to listen to the wine, or not listen to the wine, listen to her talk about the wine, and you'll also get an opportunity to do some tasting at home and have some fun on that end. So, yeah. In terms of other live streams, the Desert Wine Guy, actually, I need to get back to you, trying to figure out this whole thing about when I can do this. Unfortunately, as you can see, my studio looks a lot different than normal. I'm actually showing my house this weekend. We're in the process of trying to move, so things have been a little crazy as we've been fixing up the house over the last few weeks, and I apologize for not getting back to you on that. So we'll continue to stay in touch there, and once things settle down and I kind of have the showings and I have an offer in place, then at that point I can kind of set the studio back up and get back to doing some of the other normal things I do. As for the way I did reviews on the channel, so this goes back a long time, and before I get into that, because I don't want that story to take so long, I do want to go ahead and drop Pinot Gris here. So Pinot Gris / Pinot Grigio, lots of different presentations. My favorite is my favorite presentation of Pinot, or actually two favorite presentations, are from Washington State, and Alsace. I like just kind of clean, cool, crisp Pinot Gris. I'm not a huge fan of really tropical Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio, but I've also had a really cool one that was from, oh God, where was it? It was Oregon, and it was barrel fermented, and it rested on the lees, which was really interesting, and that added a really cool complexity to it. So what I will say is, based upon... Oh, I'm getting kicked out of presentation mode. Okay. So I'll say, based upon that, I think it will be cool to put it as good because it's a simple sipper that you can make a little bit complicated, but it's nothing that is crazy. It's nothing out there that is going to be aggressive to anyone who's getting into wine. As for how I got started into the reviews on the channel, while I'm doing this and talking about the story, go ahead and leave some recommendations on the next grapes you guys want to see. So I started a while back, about 10 years ago, I started my blog for Wine on the Dime, and I was just getting into wine. Like, I had no idea about how wine was made. I literally thought that people added flavors to the wine as it was being made to give it qualities, just like the way that like different types of hops and citrus peel and stuff like that's added to beer, because I was a beer drinker at the time, and I was just kind of getting into wine. And so I decided, I'm going to start kind of writing about like what I think about these wines as like a big novice trying to try it. And then eventually over time, I got a product shipped to me, and I said, well, this whole unboxing thing is really popular right now. Let me shoot an unboxing video. And I shot an unboxing video. And then it got a reasonably good amount of traction. So I said, well, maybe let me just shoot some wine reviews. I had my phone on like a little clamp, horrible lighting, horrible audio. Maybe a future video will be me going back and roasting my old content, because that stuff there was some bad stuff there. I'm surprised I made it this far. But I just ended up really just feeling like I liked talking to the camera more than I did writing. So I switched totally to a video format. And as I realized as I was kind of learning more about wine and starting to think about maybe I need to take a certification to actually be kind of considered a little bit of a serious guy, I realized that I was kind of already leaning towards this whole concept of like the okay, good, bad, outstanding, very good. And it was very kind of aligning towards the WSET tasting curriculum. So then I went through and got my WSET level 2. And I just decided, from here, I'm just going to keep going. I kind of vlogged about that experience. I wanted to bring a systematic approach in, but I also don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, today we're going to be reviewing this wine from the northern part of Napa. It's $175 a bottle, but if you buy it by the case, it's $174.95. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy who's drinking a $15 bottle of Chenin Blanc, talking to you about some stuff that I made on the internet, and just kind of reviewing it, because my biggest goal here is actually for you guys to save money and not buy crap wine. Like, it pisses me off when people buy bad bottles of wine. I almost slapped a bottle of Meiomi out of this dude's hand in the store, but I would have gotten like assault charges, and that wouldn't have been bad. I wouldn't have made the live stream in time. So that's why that's why I decided to kind of continue with that systematic approach, but really try to keep that price point at about like $15 to $20 and under. I'm really trying to keep that going. Like, from time to time, like, I think that Palmer bottle that I got was $240, but technically I paid $0 for it because it was a gift. And they didn't send it to me. It was a gift from my mother. So I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and review it and do that. But, I mean, there's a few times where I've had some really big splurges, but for the most part, I really do try to keep it sort of like your everyday drinkers that you're going to find to enjoy with a nice dinner at home on a Thursday night or something. All right, so taking a look at... since we were talking about Riesling, let's talk about Riesling. So we already were kind of talking about that. I talked about how there's lots of different things. So you can have some Qualitätswein. You can go through the predicate system. So you can do your Cabernet Auslese, Baron Auslese, Trockenbaron Auslese, Eiswein. It goes all the way up. There's so many different regions around the world that make great Riesling. I think as long as you have the right temperament in the climate, you're going to make something good. I had some really killer Wagner Riesling the other day from the Finger Lakes, and that was just, that was killer. So, I mean, full disclosure, Riesling is probably my favorite grape now. I'm just going to go straight into the outstanding on this one. There's just so many cool things you can do with it. Everything from a dry wine to a dessert wine to something light. It really has these cool aromatics where you can have everything from sort of like this green red fruit type note all the way going up into like tropical elements. You get that funky petroleum on a good number of the wines. Ah, man, I always kind of say it's like licking grandma's couch. I don't know. There's just something about Riesling, man. It's by far one of my favorite grapes, if not maybe my favorite grape, or at least white grape. I do have a lot of red grapes that I enjoy. So we'll do that. I just realized I never replaced the Verdicchio because the thing got switched. I'm gonna give Verdicchio. I put it bad. That's right. That's where I put it. So let's see. Well, I just did a V. Let me do another V. We're gonna do Vermentino here. So Vermentino. I dig me some Vermentino. Light, fruity, has some nice elements to it. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and give that. I'm gonna give it good or okay. I'll give it okay. It's not like I said. It's like some of these wines. I don't wake up in the morning and think I really just want to drink these specific wines. I'm out and about and I'm looking around and I see them and I'm like, you know what, I haven't reviewed a Vermentino for a while. Or I actually specifically looked for a Savateano today and I couldn't find it. But I think that would have been cool to review on here because just like I said, it's one of those easy drinkers that just kind of like is behind the scenes. The Chenin's making me think a little bit, so I don't like the fact I'm trying to think while doing this. I find that whenever I'm live streaming, not thinking is probably what makes the best content. Let's see. Okay, so next one is let's do everyone's favorite. So Torrontes. How many of y'all have had Torrontes? If you have, leave a comment. I'd be interested to know. Just because I know a lot of people who either really like it or they really hate it. And so I'd be interested to know what you guys think. So leave a comment. If you haven't tried it, leave a comment. I'm going to talk about it here in a second. So it'll be fun to kind of see who has had it and who has not. All right, so Torrontes. Okay, so Torrontes is essentially the arch nemesis of a lot of people's palates. It is this wine that is kind of funky in terms of its preparation, or not preparation, presentation. It has these elements where it's just there's fruit there. There's maybe kind of like a funky undertone of herbs, but what really gets you is it's like drinking a bouquet of flowers. I mean, you really have to like floral wines, and I'm talking about like Viognier smoked meth and did a line of coke, and then it decided to eat flowers and run around with its shirt off. Like that's the type of level of florality you're going to get out of a lot of Torrontes. So I know a lot of people who Torrontes would instantly fall into the bad category, and this would be actually probably the first wine they place in here, and it would be one of those things where they would drop it in and they would never look back. I think it's okay. I kind of like the fact that it's kind of strong and a little bit overpowering. I'm kind of okay with that. A lot of people aren't though. So I think as you go through this, you might see that there are some that I differ from you on, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Let's do. So Marsanne and Roussanne. We'll go there next. Marsanne. I don't necessarily like Marsanne as a straight varietal. I like it in Rhone style blends, and I don't necessarily think that on its own it is something that is like too cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it okay because I like it in blends, and I like some of the flexibility you can get out of it. But for the most part, I don't see it as a good single varietal. Roussanne, on the other hand, I have had as a single varietal, and I do think it is awesome. I've also had a white port made from Roussanne, and that was great. So I kind of like the fact that you can maybe do a little bit more since it's a single varietal, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that there. So we're at the point, we're about the halfway point. Which means I need to refill my glass. And ideally not break it because I'm a goob. Set this back here. Okay, so let's do Muscat. All right, so Muscat. This is, like I said, I'm looking at it overall. And you'll notice that I didn't say like Muscat of Alexandria, Muscat Canelli, Orange Muscat. I'm looking at essentially that as an overall thing. I really like the florality of this wine, but not because it is floral like Torrontes. It's not this like flower bush. You get these really nice, delicate, like fruit flower notes in there. So you're going to get like orange, peach, apple, like all the cherry. Well, I had one cherry blossom, but I feel like that it was mixed with something else. But yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of have these different elements to it, especially like the fruit florality of it. It can make a dry wine. I've had bone dry Muscat. I've also had dessert wine made out of it. If you're actually looking at like Moscato, you'd be using a sparkling preparation. So on that note, I think I'd give it very good. Yeah, we'll give it very good there. Okay, next. Let's do Picpoul. So Picpoul is typically a blender in France. You can find some Picpoul Pinot de Pinot, super cheap. I'm talking about like €5 a bottle, and it's a very common thing for people in France to drink. In Texas, we're starting to grow a lot more Picpoul, and my favorite. One of my favorite wine producers in the Hill Country, Ben Calais, who I've interviewed on the channel, he has a single varietal Picpoul that he makes, and it actually it's heavier than kind of what you find in France, and it has a little bit more body to it, and it was awesome. The thing I like about Picpoul, like a lot of wines that I kind of talk about liking, is that it is a reasonably high acid wine, so you have that going for you, and yeah, I think I'm going to give Picpoul good. Because, like I said, it's used in blending. It's used as a single varietal sometimes. And overall, it's just one of those wines where, like, you can open up a bottle and you know it's not probably going to be bad unless someone really mistreated it in the winemaking process. So, yeah. On that note, I'm thinking more about Verdicchio. And I do want to say I don't like it, so I'm going to put the other Verdicchio down there. And just get it off my list so I'm stop looking at the fact I made a mistake and didn't catch it as part of the preparation for this video. All right. Let's do any suggestions for the next one? Anybody have a specific one you want me to go over next? Sauvignon. All right. Going on to the Blanc. All right, let's do this. So, Sauvignon Blanc. This is another one where I could probably create an entire tiered list on this one. I would say Riesling could be like that. Maybe Viognier. Pinot Gris could have its own list. And Sauvignon Blanc could definitely have its own list. Man, I drink a lot of Sauvignon Blanc. I'm not going to lie. I drink a lot. But that's also because that's my wife's favorite grape, and you got to keep the wife happy sometimes. So I prefer New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Calais Sauvignon Blanc. Yeah. I've had some French Sauvignon Blanc. Loire is pretty good. It's like that nice mix between New World or actually, I would say California is trying to be a mix between New World and Old World, and it doesn't quite work out for me. I've had some New Mexico, believe it or not, New Mexico Sauvignon Blanc. That was actually pretty good. I'm surprised they were able to grow it. I think I'm going to give you very good. Well, am I? I drink a lot of you, but that doesn't necessarily mean I feel like you have a lot of the same characteristic. Well, Whitehaven is awesome. Yeah, I have had Whitehaven. My wife's personal favorite is Starborough. Yeah. Oh man, what am I? I think I am going to give it very good, and I'm going to keep it there. One, because there's so many different things I've seen people do with it. So you can have like this all like Fum Blanc characteristic to it. You can have just this nice tropical note. You kind of get more of the classic French softer style, and then it can also be used in Sauterne, and I do like Sauterne. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it very good. Since I'm speaking about Sauterne, let's talk about Semillon. So Semillon is one of the components in Sauterne. Sauterne is basically a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. Sometimes there's a little bit of something else added to it. I like Semillon as a blender, but I do not like it as a single varietal. So on that note, I'm going to give it an okay. Just if I'm gonna give you good, I want to be at least be able to enjoy you from time to time as a single varietal. I haven't had a very good Semillon that's a single varietal, and that just might be because of where I typically buy at my price point. Let's do Cortese. So Cortese, Italian grape, typical. You find a lot of it in Gavi, and I do like it, but I think it's gonna be one of those things that kind of falls along lines of the okay tier. Like I don't wake up in the morning and go pursue agave. So I do not turn my nose down at it either. So I'll go ahead and put that there. Let's do Viura. So Viura is it's what they make cava out of. Basically, it's one of the major grapes in that. I am a huge fan of cava. I don't necessarily think, though, that it has, or maybe I should say, I have not seen it used in a lot of use cases outside of that with what I have access to where I live. So on that note, I do enjoy it as a single varietal. I do actively seek out cava. I don't necessarily think I'm going to put you into the very good tier here. Let's see, what else? What should be the next one? I'm going to go ahead and pour myself a little bit more while I'm waiting on y'all's feedback. What should be the next varietal that we put? Let's see here. I think let's go to Trebbiano. So Trebbiano, pretty common Italian grape. I think it's an okay tier. It's gonna go okay. I will buy it from time to time. There are times when I'm pairing food with it, especially stuff that's a little bit more seafood. I'll pick up some of that, but I think that's where I'm going to keep that. I don't think I want to promote that too high. Question: have I ever had wine from a non-vinifera grape? Yes, I have. So Texas there are Mustang grapes that grow everywhere in Texas, and to be quite honest, they are pretty bitter when you make wine out of them. They don't have a lot of acid. They don't produce a ton of sugar, and so you kind of get this almost like you get this wine that almost feels a little bit flabby. So you kind of have to add like tart to it, and then you have to add a little bit of sugar, so that way you can actually get a decent ABV out of it. If that's what you're trying, if you're trying to make like a decent wine out of it, you kind of have to manipulate it. If you're just making your typical redneck Mustang grape wine, you don't typically do much to it. You just accept it for what it is. I've also had I have had Lambrusco, but it's been a while. And then when I was in New Hampshire, I had Concord grape wine, and that was like I would say it was better than the Mustang grape wine, but it kind of had that similar characteristic. Like it doesn't produce the same amount of sugar, and it doesn't have the same type of tannins. It's kind of like the Mustang grapes actually have a little bit of tannins to them, but like the Concord, it was kind of like it was wanting to get sweet, but it didn't have a lot of tannins to it, so the body was like kind of weak. Yeah, that's kind of where that was at. Let's do Solohanor. So I not this last February because COVID was a thing, but the February before that, I was a judge at the Texas International Wine Competition, and I was lucky enough to sit with some pretty crazy table judges. So I had Dan Gatlin, who is the owner and head winemaker of Inwood Estates here in the Texas Hill Country, makes crazy premium wines, and they're pretty darn good. I also had a chance to work with Joel Butler, who is a master of wine, one of the first American masters of wine. And he was sitting next to me the entire time, and I was just like, holy crap, like there's this dude who's a master of wine, and he can smell this and tell you more about it than I will probably ever learn in my life, because he has gone that far into it. I mean, he would smell it and be able to tell you like at what stage in the process did they treat TA on wines, and like how much of it was in there probably from a chemical standpoint, because he makes a ton of wine. So he was way beyond my levels. One thing we all were in agreement with, was that the only Sylvaner that was entered into the competition was gold medal worthy. We even recommended it for double gold. It was so good. That would be a wine that, even as a white wine, I would happily pay $50 a bottle for it. It was just incredibly made. So that really kind of got me exploring Sylvaner. Since then, I've had more of it. I really do enjoy it. I don't see it blended. I don't see a lot of stuff with it, so I'm going to go ahead and give you very good on that. Let's do Assyrtiko. So Assyrtiko, Greek white grape, awesome grape. I love it. It has some really good qualities to it in terms of the acid, in terms of the primary fruit. It's very clean, kind of somewhat salty, a little bit salty tasting fruit. But don't see it used in a lot of blenders. Don't see it really used a lot. So I'm going to give you good. I really wish I could give you higher. But also, going back to what I said, I'm in the 7th largest city in the United States. and I can't get my hand on a really good selection of all of these wines. And so I want to explore it more, and I want to see if people are using it to blend and do other things with it, but I can't necessarily tell you that it is into the very good tier, because I just haven't had it. I haven't had enough of it. I need to have more of it. Let's do Verdejo. So Verdejo, Spanish grape, has this nice kind of, in my opinion, it has a little bit of a heavier body than you're going to typically get with some of your other grapes that are used in blending. It can be a solo grape as well as a blender. I do enjoy it. Adds a nice kind of backbone to a blend. So I'm going to go ahead and give it very good. Let's go. Let's save Gewurztraminer and Chardonnay for last. So let's do Albarino. So Albarino just is awesome. So if there are a lot of times where I wake up and I get out of bed and I say, you know what, today I'm going to make seafood. I'm gonna do some sort of fish dish or shrimp or something. Like fish tacos are a thing. I'm in San Antonio. Tacos are a thing all the time. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. You can have a taco. Doesn't matter. No one will look down on you. No one will judge you. And Albarino is one of those, especially with like maybe chicken, but especially with fish. It's just so good. It has this nice salty element to it. Like it's almost as if like Albarino is from the sea itself. And I really enjoy that. I've seen it blended and especially with like Portuguese Albarino or however I suck at languages, y'all know that. I've seen it blended in Portuguese wines. I've seen the straight varietal in Spanish and in Portuguese. So on that note, very good. Gewurztraminer. So Gewurztraminer, I really enjoyed it as a single varietal. So instantly I'm going to tell you now it's good. I've had it blended before. I don't enjoy it blended. I do like the fact that you can find some dry Gewurztraminer, you can find some semi-sweet, and then you can find some almost dessert level sweetness on Gewurztraminer, depending on where you're getting it from. So I think I'm going to give it good because I don't like it when I've had it in a blend. However, I will say that Gewurztraminer is by far my favorite wine to pair with Indian food. I make a lot of Indian food. My spice cabinet is ridiculous. It looks like I'm packing spices for like 150 people. It's nuts. And I will go through all those spices. I make Indian food at least once a week. It's one of my favorite things to eat. And I make it from scratch. I grind all my own spices, all that stuff. Gewurztraminer is one of my favorite things to pair with Indian food, especially if I'm doing like anything that's like somewhat coconut related or fish or chicken, maybe even pork. I'll have Gewurztraminer, and sometimes I even include it as part of the cooking process, depending on what kind of flavors I want in the wine. You can actually do this if you've never done this before. So I make biryani from time to time, and one of the things that they kind of advise you to do when you're getting into making biryani is you marinate the chicken for like 24 to 48 hours, and you marinate it in the spices so that way as it's cooking through, the aromatics kind of permeate the rice as you're finishing the rice off in like the pot. Like I even get like a crock pot and I line it with dough to make a permanent seal to make sure no moisture leaves it. So I mean I go crazy with it. One of the things I've seen people do is add a rum to like about 150 milliliters of rum to the marinade and let it sit and soak in. Trust me, add some Gewurztraminer. Add some Gewurztraminer in there. Get an off dry one, or maybe a medium sweet or a medium dry. Not medium sweet, that's too sweet. Off dry, medium dry. Marinate it on in there instead of the rum. Oh, you're gonna get all these like nice floral elements. You're gonna get some spiciness added to it. You're gonna get the actual like fruit qualities kind of infused in with the meat. especially if you're using like chicken. It really permeates well. Oh man! And then you go through the rest of the process of cooking the biryani, and it will be one of the best biryanis that you've ever had using Gewurztraminer. I promise you. I promise you. And if you don't like it, if you don't like it, then you can either unsub for my channel, because I stand by this that much. I'm willing to lose you as a sub. Or you can sub to my channel and tell me off in the comments of this video. But Gewurztraminer in a biryani marinade is friggin' awesome. I love it. Okay, Indian food off. Last one, Chardonnay. But before I get to the Chardonnay, I do have another question. What are my thoughts on stemless wine glasses for white wine? I wouldn't use them for fear of warming the wine. Well, so there's two conditions there. One, if you're going to be walking around holding a wine glass, all that other stuff, and you're like a Neanderthal who holds it like this, yeah, that will warm the wine up. It will change some of the characteristics of the wine. So you have to consider that in mind. However, though, I will say this. Stemless wine glasses are not a problem if you drink the wine fast enough. So maybe the stemless wine glasses are just there to encourage you to not dilly-dally and just really kind of move forward with it. But in all seriousness, though, like I use stemmed glasses on my reviews. I do use stemmed glasses for half the time. I would say probably about for my everyday drinking. I use stemless wine glasses half the time when I don't feel like hand washing my glassware. I just kind of use those stemless ones because we have them. And I use stemless, dishwasher-safe Govino plastic glasses anytime I'm doing anything pool-related, outside-related, because I am a klutz. I am essentially a stupid ape, and I will drop wine glasses and break them if I'm outside or near a hard surface. I've lost wine glasses tubing. They were the Govino ones. I didn't shed a tear about them. So I do highly endorse the Govino dishwasher safe glasses because they will save, especially if you're someone who, like my wife, and sometimes like myself, likes to drop a bath bomb into the tub and you sit back and you relax and you have the candle going. And for her, you have like, I'm trying to think of who she listens to right now. You might have some like John Mayer going. And for me, I have like Dragon Force or Unleash the Archers. And I'm just sitting back there listening to my metal, my speed metal, just relaxing in a lavender bath bomb. And then I reach over to get my wine glass. And oh no, I knocked it over. Oh, but it's okay because it's plastic. And I'm not going to have shards of glass like cutting me up as I'm trying to get out of the tub. So stemless wine glasses have their place. Certain types of stemless wine glasses have their place. Stemmed wine glasses have their place. It really just depends on what you're doing there. All right, so let's get to the final grape. The final grape that we're going to be doing is Chardonnay. So Chardonnay. I saved this one for last on purpose because I have a love-hate relationship with Chardonnay. I do. I think Chardonnay has some amazing qualities to it. I think there are people who abuse those qualities of the grape when they make it. So think of it like this. Chardonnay is a brick. Someone can take that brick and lovingly place it as the cornerstone for a house and have it build this entire beautiful house for somebody to enjoy and live in for the rest of their life. Or some winemakers can take that brick and slam it through your front window of your car and pull you out of the car and drive off with your car as you're sitting there bleeding on the ground. That's the way that I see Chardonnay. Chardonnay is one of those things where it can be beautifully done or it can be horrendously overdone. And so, on that note, I'm going to give it outstanding. And the reason why is because it can be beautifully done or it can be horrendously overdone. And there's still people who like the horrendously overdone part of Chardonnay. I personally, my absolute favorite area for Chardonnay is Chablis. Chablis is, in my opinion, the purest representation of the Chardonnay grape itself. Now, you can take that grape and you can take it other places, like Burgundy, for example, and you can have a different type of presentation with that grape, and which is essentially not a just pure representation of the grape. There's been some loving care taken into it. I think that's awesome. Washington State has some stuff like that. Oregon has some state like that. The Finger Lakes area has some great representations of that. Going overseas, Australia has it. South Africa has it. There are some places that just do really great things with Chardonnay. Then you go to cheap producers in Napa, and they are carjacking you. They are carjacking you bad. They are literally cracking your head with the oak. They are beating you to death with the vanilla, and then they are going to essentially just drive off in your car. That's the way I feel about certain producers. Now, I'm not talking about premium producers. Premium producers actually care about it. They're trying to maintain balance. They're trying to do stuff like that. I'm talking about, there are a lot of people who are like making $9 to $15 bottles, and all you taste is vanilla. All you taste are like oak chips. There's no defining characteristic of the primary fruit or any secondary characteristics outside of the vanilla. There's no spice. Like, all you're getting is vanilla. You at least should, if they're using American oak or something, you at least find some coconut or almond or something. None of that crap is there. They're just beating you to death with the brick of Chardonnay. So I'm going to give it outstanding. I think it deserves an outstanding. And I think it's a fun grape when you can find great representations of it. And I think it will bring you to tears when you can't find good ones. It's like a rom-com, really. If you think about it, Chardonnay is also like a romantic comedy. You're gonna find these really sweet moments. It's gonna make you laugh. It's gonna make you cry, but in the good way. Kind of like when you see Paul Rudd dancing. Like, you want to cry, but it's like, oh, it's Paul Rudd. And then like it switches into the Nightmare on Elm Street level, and then you cry because you can't leave the room because you're just find yourself, all of a sudden you're like taped down to a couch and the Chardonnay is coming after you and you just can't run, so you cry because crying and wetting yourself are the only things left, and you haven't had enough Chardonnay to do this latter. So that's where I'm at. Man, that got dark at the end. I didn't realize Chardonnay was going to bring that out in me. Yeah, that's some rough stuff. Anyway, so I think we've been going for a little bit more of an hour. I think let's do this. If there's any more time for questions, let's go ahead and do that. I'll give a few minutes for that, and then I'll cut it. I didn't want this to be a long live stream. I just wanted it to be something fun and a little bit different. I didn't mean for it to get as dark as it did with Chardonnay, because Chardonnay is a bit of a dark grape, even though it's white. But let me end it with this. You can either ask a question or tell me, do you disagree with any of these? Do you look at these grapes and like, this is totally misplaced and it needs to be somewhere else? I'd be very interested to know if you guys disagree with me on this, because like a top 10 list and tier list are sort of like opinions. It doesn't really matter unless it's your own. But I would be interested to know what. Tell me where this Chardonnay hurt me. I'll show you on the doll, David. I'll show you on the doll. Like I said, I love Chardonnay. I think it's good. But it's one of those things, man. It's like I don't find people like even looking at the other outstanding item, Riesling. I don't find producers that abuse Riesling the way that Chardonnay is abused. People really try to take care of Riesling. I don't find someone who's like over oaking Riesling or doing some really funky stuff to manipulate it. They do that a lot. They do that a lot with Chardonnay, man. So Martin Ray from Sonoma. You know what? Have I reviewed a Martin Ray? I think I have. Let me look it up here. I've gotten to the point where when I'm buying wine, I actually have to search my own YouTube backlog to make sure that So I did the Martin Ray Rosé of Pinot Noir. So maybe I need to add their wrong video for the doll. Maybe I need to add the Martin Ray Chardonnay to my list. You said that's the Sonoma one, right? Yeah, Sonoma. Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm not opposed to trying the Chardonnay. Like I said, it's just some people just do some funky stuff with it, man. I'm glad I didn't start with Chardonnay because no one would be watching this video if I started with Chardonnay and I just lost my shit like that. And I probably just got demonetized. Well done. Alright, so doesn't look like anyone's arguing with me, which means that all y'all are probably wrong about something. Just saying. But I think we can go ahead and kind of just cap it there. I think this is a nice list. Do y'all want to see like a red wine list? Because I have one already made in the event that you say yes. If this was boring for you or you just don't want to do this, then let me know. I won't be hurt. Or I might just say screw it. I'm gonna do it anyway because I made it. Might do one of these like once a month. Maybe just randomly you'll see me announce a live stream and I'm gonna be talking about my favorite areas for Chardonnay, and I have an entire tier list for Chardonnay. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll just might go down that path. There's no harm in that. So I'm getting a yes. Derek is essentially telling me here that I'm insane by the emojis, and I kind of knew that already going into this. You can't really make a video on YouTube and have all your screws really tight in your head, man. I'm just telling you now. All right, so we'll do red wine. But let's do this. Maybe what I'll do is maybe in a couple weeks I'll do the red wine one, and then a week after that, then we'll look at doing we will be doing the live tasting with Cara Omberg from the Walls Winery. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out sort of like some community info. I'll do it on YouTube community. I'll do it on Facebook. I'll do it on Twitter. And I will shoot you guys all some information. I'll set up the live streams in advance. And that way you have the links to it all. You can set reminders. And let's do the red wines in a couple weeks. And then like a week after that, if you guys are up for it, let's do that tasting. Cara's super awesome. She is someone that I've been talking to for a couple of years now on social media. She's a big hockey fan, and she swears like a sailor. And whenever we have private conversations, I'm hoping some of that comes on to the stream because I really like who she is. She's a fun person. She's very passionate about the wine, and I do plan on asking her some questions she probably doesn't think are going to be coming out. So it would be fun. If you guys have any questions about the Walls Winery, let me know. I'll try to see if I can sneak those in as well. But let me go ahead and cut this. So, yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. It was fun. I like to see all the chats going back and forth, the conversations that are happening in there. I'd like y'all's feedback in terms of letting me know what you wanted to do next. Like I said, I'm surprised you guys didn't argue with any of my choices. I really am. But maybe that's to come after you guys digest this a little bit more. Come back. Let me know if you think that Vermentino actually needs to be in the very good list. Canoga Hills, if you can find it for the red tasting. Okay, yeah, let me make a note of that real fast. Let me open up a notepad because I have the memory of a hummingbird. All right, so I'll try to see if I can pull that in there. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. It was fun. I do like kind of doing something a little bit outside the norm where I'm just kind of doing a relaxing live stream with you guys. And if there's anything that you guys want to see in the future, shoot me a note. You can either update any of my community posts, you can hit me at stuart@wineonthedime.com. Social media, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. Just send me a note, shoot me a @ or something, and let me know what you might be interested in, and we'll continue going. So, simping over the mullet. Okay, so the mullet is fantastic today, and the mullet is not going to stay. Mostly because I have been given a mandate from my wife that there's a certain point in which the mullet will become very expensive, and by very expensive I mean half of my stuff will be gone if I don't have a mullet removed by a certain time. So I'm working on that, but the mullet is actually, I'm keeping the mullet only in the growing the beard only because I'm trying to shoot a music video, and I need the mullet and the beard for the music video. But as soon as that is over, like, I'm literally going to wrap shooting on the music video, have it in the can on the editing, and then go get my hair cut. Because I'm someone who has really short hair. Just go look at a lot of my previous videos. I have short hair, and I have to get it done. But the mullet is not something, like I said, it's going to be the most expensive mullet ever. No, the wine's not getting cut off. The wine is staying. That's just part of who I am. But the mullet will be gone, and it's going to have to go away. I can't afford a divorce to keep a mullet. There is a certain point where I have to do a cost-benefit analysis. Any vids on value Bordeaux wines? Actually, I do have a couple Bordeaux wine reviews. I actually have a good number of Bordeaux wine reviews on my channel. Charlie, all my reviews are, for the most part, you're going to be looking at $15 to $20 a bottle and under. I did review the number 3 Bordeaux wine from Total Wines, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I actually thought it was better than their number 2. I can't remember if I reviewed the number 2, though. But yeah, I do remember having it. They were out of their number 1, which doesn't surprise me because it is their number 1 selling red Bordeaux. Also, I think that was going for $21 a bottle at the time. I need to go back into Total Wines and see if it's any cheaper now. But I wouldn't mind doing more of those value videos. The other thing I was thinking about, and I can get y'all's feedback on this. I know I keep saying I'm going to end this, but I keep coming up with ideas to talk to y'all about. Another thing that I was thinking about was, what if, like for Chenin, for example, what if I get like a South African and a French and a Australian and maybe like a... There are some people who are making Chenin in California. What if I get one of those and like each of those, and I kind of talk to you about like the difference between what you're going to get from Australia versus South Africa, stuff like that. Like, would that interest you too, doing some sort of like comparative tasting? And I'll let you guys know which wines I'm buying in advance. So if you wanted to go out and over the couple weeks between videos or live streams, you can go out and buy them too at your local store if possible. Does that kind of stuff interest you guys, or is that just like you don't really care? You just kind of either want some goofy stuff like these tier lists, or you want some wine reviews or interviews with winemakers and like other folks in the wine industry? Let me know. I'd be interested to know about that too. Might not have mullet by then though. I'm still saying that. I do have a deadline on when I have to get rid of the mullet. It's going to be a sad day. Anyway, so leave a comment if you want those types of things. Like I said, shoot me a note on social media, all that. It's basically at Wine on the Dime, wherever social media is. I'm pretty much everywhere. So on that note, I'll say, you know what? Thank you guys for joining me today. It was fun. And I really am going to end the video at this point because at some point I do have to eat dinner as well. I haven't had dinner yet because I've been kicked out of my house as we're trying to sell it. So I will see you all again soon with another episode from Wine on the Dime. And we'll be doing more live streams. We'll be doing more comparative tastings probably. We'll be doing more tier list. We'll be doing more stuff. We're going to do a lot more live stuff. I'd like to get to the point where every other week I'm doing it. And any ideas that you guys have on things that you want to do, learn about, specifically maybe with some people who are experts in that area, if I can try to arrange it, that would be awesome. And I'll see y'all again soon with another episode. So in the meantime, if you're enjoying something, cheers, and I will see you all later. Have a good one.